We are epic. From the summoning pits with 3 guardians to now 6 clans with over 700 members. We are epic. Epic Alpha, Bravo, Delta, Echo, and Foxtrot. And we will continue to grow and continue to gain guardians that would like to stand together and fight the darkness, or whatever Bungie decides to call them. And you are listening to Radio Epic. Alright, hello, and welcome to Radio Epic, episode number 26. In this episode, we have a lot to talk about. We have some microtransaction debacles. We have a lot of updates for December and for next year. And we just have a lot to talk about with Curse of Osiris coming out in like 2 days, guys. I am acbtheman, and with me tonight we have David Allen 353. How you doing, David, man?
Pretty good.
And we have bnelly. What's up, man?
Doing pretty good.
Alright, well, it's good to hear from y'all. We tried to get this recorded on Thursday, and then on Friday, and then on Saturday, but we're here. And first off, I know everyone's talked to death about this, but let's talk about the microtransaction sort of debacle. Because I guess I have the controversial opinion here. So for those of you who don't know, essentially Destiny 2 throttled the experience you gained, essentially from playing activities over and over, and so you got bright engrams at a slower pace. Essentially, as soon as this came out to major news media, some of the bigger games, article media, Bungie turned it off and said, well, obviously it's not working as intended, we can just go ahead and turn it off. And people are upset because they didn't tell us it was there. As soon as they seem to have been caught, they immediately turned it off. And so people just seems like it was, or people think it was a way just to push people towards their microtransactions, which one of the items you can buy from the microtransactions is a fire team medallion, which makes you level up faster. So it's sort of this cyclical thing. Go buy more of these things, level up, get some engrams, but you're not guaranteed these things, and you have to buy them with bright dust that you can potentially get. Now, my controversial opinion is, I don't think this should be a controversy. I mean, everybody is crying and everyone's making this big deal, especially because EA had the big thing with Battlefront 2, and now EA's having this thing with their UFC game, where they have all these like microtransactions that you basically have to get to do anything without playing tons and tons of hours. But the only thing that is non-cosmetic is the fire team medallion. And I'm of the opinion, and maybe people think I shouldn't like Bungie this much. I'm of the opinion that if they want to push you towards their microtransactions, that's fine. They're all cosmetic, except I think I'm way in the minority on this thought, and I didn't realize until I listened to podcasts and everything that I'm in the minority. What are your thoughts, or do y'all even have anything to say? Or
I mean, it just seems, on the surface, it seems very shady because they say, okay, well, here's this microtransaction thing, but don't worry, you can get everything in it, you just will have to play a lot. And then they decide to say, oh, if you are too efficient at playing, you can, it will slow you down artificially. Like, so they decided on, like, this certain activities give you certain skill levels, but if you're too good at the activities and you can do them too quickly, then they slow you down artificially and it just drives you to pay more money, because it makes it harder just to work hard and get the things you want, because they're going to slow you down. And the worst part is the way they fixed it was by getting rid of this artificial timer and just doubling the XP it took to do anything.
well, on that one, you can't always believe them, but they said that should have been the original amount anyways. But yeah, that doubling thing seemed kind of weird. But for me, I don't know. I guess the controversy came in that the fact that it didn't tell us about the scaling. We'd have been all upset and all up in arms. But from what I hear, mostly is if they'd have said, "Hey, there's some throttling mechanism," people wouldn't have been happy, but they would have been, "Oh, okay, you're money grubbing, but we openly see that you're money grubbing." I don't know. It's one of those things of it's not anywhere as bad as the EA stuff, and I know that it's one of the big things in the community right now. Just personally, I think it's not that big of a deal, but like I said, I think I'm one of probably 5 people, and the other 4 probably work for Bungie and Activision.
I mean, I can see the idea. I think if they either should have just said it up front that that was going to be the case, or they should have not made it a thing. Because I mean, like, it should be how you want to play it. You should gain, if you do something, you should gain the full amount of experience no matter what you do. Whether it's a public event or a strike, or if you go through the raid or whatever, you should get the full amount of experience that you're due. Every other game does that, at least games that aren't shady.
Well, they should balance each activity a little bit better. So if people are, grinding public events more, just say, "Hey, public events are worth less XP." Um, you know, um,
Yeah, but on a side note with that, if I don't see what their problem with people gaining XP too quickly. Like, do you say, okay, maybe they feel that people are earning things too quickly, but what's really the problem with that? If these are purely cosmetic items, there should be no issue.
because you're not spending as much as I said I'm on the other side because you're not spending money. Um, and I personally think that it's there. You don't want to get in this argument too much because then I'm not justifying what EA did. But with these cosmetics, I think it's okay if they throttle, but they should have told us. But like, honestly, the reason people are upset is because we're not spending money on the microtransactions, and Bungie was trying to get us to spend more money on the microtransactions, and so that's where the anger and frustration comes in, especially after everything else where people are complaining about.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't even care about the microtransactions if some of their core gameplay was fixed. To be honest, like, the microtransactions are a moot point, and I honestly, I don't really have a personal preference one way or the other. Um, as long as I hate games that are pay to win unless it's explicitly stated that way. But like
Yeah, like
a game
or a
like
free game or
Destiny
something.
should never be like pay to win. So like I'm okay. I don't really care. Like I've spent like $5 or $10 on trying to get a couple of things for like exotic emotes or whatever, But like that's just kind of some extra money that I chose to spend on something. But like I shouldn't have to pay to get items or get gear in the game that I need. I want to play the game for that gear. I want to grind out the gear, not just pay with my wallet. And so like
Well, and we're gonna
I've
give them more money for the DLCs and stuff, anyways.
yeah.
I know that's not as much money as microtransactions, but
Right. Another thing that bothered me about it is when they first introduced microtransactions, Destiny 1, they were pretty explicit of this is what's going to fund our continued development and fund the live team. And now we don't hear those promises, so it seems like they're just using microtransactions to make more money, which I don't begrudge them for trying to make more money. It's just they kind of, yeah.
well, this led into them actually canceling their third live stream. They're going to talk about some of the guns, some of the patch notes, and they were going to just have another Bungie live stream. But the second Bungie live stream they had, people laughed about it because after this big old huge public event, which I didn't see, apparently the rewards the guy got was it 2 tokens and a blue engram, And so people were just like, well, your rewards are still crap. They, after all the bad press that they've gotten over everything people are disliking about Destiny 2, and after this microtransaction thing, they were just like, you know what? We got to go in damage control mode. And so they posted essentially what they're doing to change the game and make it better and show that they're listening. And then they made a podcast where they essentially came on and explained these changes, some of these changes, and sort of tried to give their excuse on the microtransaction stuff. But there is a whole bunch of changes that they have brought up, and so we're going to go through most of these. And we're not talking about this week at Bungie this week because it pretty much is, hey, there's changes coming, and look at this trailer for the weapons, and they don't tell us what the weapons are. So we may not talk much about that. But essentially what they've said is they're trying to give new systems to make their most engaging players have something to grind for. They're having better rewards for prestige activities and better rewards for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. And so, or is there anything in particular y'all want to talk about first, or do y'all just want to sort of go down the list and give thoughts on each thing?
I'd have to relook at the list myself.
Okay, well, let's just go down the list, and I got it right here. So first off, they say they're introducing a new weapon tier called Masterwork, which is essentially in between legendary and exotic, and every legendary can become Masterwork if you have the parts. And the only way to get parts is to get a Masterwork weapon to drop, which a legendary can drop as a Masterwork. And what this Masterwork does is it gives it a rerollable stat bonus. So it says, so stat bonus would be their accuracy, their reload, something like that. So you can tailor the weapon how you like it. And from what we saw, the Masterworks, we'll see later down, like if you get rapid kills, you'll spawn orbs of light for your team, which will help out with supers and stuff. But it'll essentially give you sort of a bonus perk, which really doesn't do much for PvP for all I see, and then it'll give you a stat bonus. So, and the way that you're going to obtain this is by like I said, just grinding them out. But you're gonna be able to make your preferred weapon a masterwork. So, for example, you really like Uriel's gift, but you don't get a Uriel's masterwork to drop, or you get a Better Devil's masterwork to drop. Dismantle that Better Devil's, boom, you now have a Uriel's masterwork. Now, I'm excited for this because it gives us something else to chase, but I'm not so sure that these are going to be hard enough to find. First off, what are your thoughts on the Masterwork system, and do you think that it's really going to be the grind, part of the grind we're looking for?
I think on the surface it's a great thing. Like, it just seems like another way of making guns more interesting, but it's only going to be a couple weeks, add a couple weeks extra to the grind, because once you get a bunch of Masterworks, every one you get is just going to be, oh, I'll just put that on my... Yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is once you have a few, it's going to get less exciting, but it's a way of better customizing things and giving people more things to do, which it's hard to begrudge.
Well, and I think this is part of their... I mean, this isn't random rolls, but it allows you to customize your weapon a little bit more than just everybody has the same roll. Well, I added a little bit of reload to mine, so I really get that buff in PvP where my reload is just ridiculous, and I can outplay that guy playing the same weapon, or maybe I get a little bit of accuracy, so I'm a little bit further away, or my range is boosted or something. So I think this is a good step in that direction, sort of their compromise to, hey, we're not going to give you random rolls, but here's something else. So
it all depends too on how they implement the idea too. If the Masterworks aren't meaningful enough to get, then nobody's going to want them. And so, for me, as long as they make a difference in your gameplay, you know, like then I can see them being a good thing, um, or at least something to sought after. But like, you know, it's like the whole debate on how, like, your mobility, how much mobility actually makes a difference. You know, do you need 10? Do you need 5? Do you need 6? Whatever it is, you know, like, is it going to be something like that where it's, you know, a little bit of reload speed? Is it going to make that much of a difference, or is it going to make a big difference? You know, like, it needs to have an impact, but not like too much. And I think that's where they really need to, like, if they haven't done already, they need to like do some balancing or whatever. Is like, it's got to be impactful for us to do. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to do it. So that's the thing I think they need to really look at or have in their head when they're going through and doing stuff.
Hey, real fast, bnelly. Some people are listening to your gameplay. Can you turn your game volume down in game? They say it's a little bit too high compared to the voices when they listen to it. Well, one thing that I will like about the Masterwork system is there's two things actually. It's going to track the number of kills with that weapon, and you can turn off PvE. So it'll say like I've got this amount of kills in PvP with it, which I think is really really cool. But also Raid and Trials of the Nine weapons have a high chance of being Masterwork when they drop. So do a little bit harder activity, have a higher chance of having these weapons drop already as Masterwork. So I do like that. So you're not like, oh man, I got this Raid weapon I really like, but I had to go and farm a public event in order to get a Masterwork or something. So I think those are a couple cool things.
Right, it definitely seems like they're trying to make it better for people who try harder things, which is always a good thing. Gives us a reason to do the hard things. Did I miss one?
Like I said, it's got to be worth it. They can't make it not feel impactful, otherwise nobody's going to want to do it.
Yeah, it needs to be like instead of like a 5-second reload with your hand cannon, you get a 3-second reload. Like maybe not that significant, but it needs, like you said, we need to be able to feel it. Or hey, I really reduced the recoil of this weapon. Um, Something like that with these stats we get. What else is next? I don't understand. Let me see. Okay. They say increase vendor rewards, adding ways for people to purchase items directly for legendary shards and tokens. And it says see December update section below. So let's move down. So, let me see. Faction armor and weapons will be unlocked for purchase for legendary shards and faction tokens on most faction vendors. All 5 armor slots will always be present, and weapons will rotate on factions that have them. Slots will be unlocked by claiming reward engrams from the respective faction, and you will get credit for engrams you have already claimed since launch. So essentially, level up your faction. You'll be able to buy the armor, and you'll be able to buy the weapons directly from the vendor. So tokens are now sort of turning into the secondary thing where you can get rewards from tokens, but if you aren't getting what you like and you really want a helmet for a certain place, then you can directly buy it. Like I really want the cloak for my Titan from Nessus, but it takes, I'm not going to be able to buy that right now. I'm not going to be able to, because when I level it up, it always gives me a weapon or something else. So I really enjoy this. There's only one thing I don't like. I believe they said they're increasing the amount of XP. It's going to take the level up a faction, like the amount of tokens. So it still may take you a little bit, but you can purchase exactly what you want. So I think this is overall a good change.
Yeah,
I think it's a good change. It was kind of shocking to have something similar from the start, considering that's pretty much how it worked in Destiny 1.
The entire way, even from vanilla.
Yeah, where, sure, you got your rank up packages, but then you could buy a specific set of gear from each vendor.
It's the tokens need to be secondary, and I think this is a good first step.
Right. Like, I don't have a problems with tokens in concept. They just start kind of like a delayed XP item, which there's nothing wrong with that. And actually, it's a little better because you can choose what character you get the XP on and that sort of thing. But having that as the only mechanism to get faction gear was just not fun.
Yeah, especially when you never got, like I said, I leveled up Nessus probably 8 times and never got the stinking cloak. Well, now it'll be there. I may have to level up 1 or 2 more times to unlock that. Or not cloak, whatever, Titan Mark. But still, like, I'll be able to say, oh, I directly want that. I'll be able to directly buy that, which is very, very awesome.
Right, and it's just something that it's another thing that's, if I do this activity, I will get this reward. And maybe the activity is hard, maybe it takes a while, what you know, if you do a certain thing and you get a certain reward.
Which is honestly what we're watching. Now, one thing before we move on, a lot of this stuff, if you actually take a second to think about it, we are actually getting a lot of ways to get stuff even faster than before, because we get a lot of weapons and a lot of stuff very quickly, and that's one of the complaints. And allowing you to directly choose what you want, allowing you to do all this stuff, sounds like we're going to get stuff incredibly fast, but we are going to be able to choose, what we get. So I think that's a fairly decent trade-off, or do you guys not see this as getting stuff faster?
I think it's getting stuff we want faster, not necessarily getting numbers of items faster. So I'm supportive. They did add something to Xur where you can get I think it's called a Fated Engram, which is, it gives you an exotic that you don't already have, which is good for the economy because it essentially gives a sink for legendary shards, so we don't accumulate too many of them. I think they're making good changes.
Let's go down to Xur in a second.
Okay, yeah. I was just saying, the only issue that I could see with giving us stuff too quickly is essentially inflation happening, where legendary shards become worthless, sort of like Glimmer, and having
you'll just buy the same thing over and over and over to get rid of them or something like that. But yeah, that Fated Engram, like you said, is 97 shards, and you can only get it once per week. I think that's per account. But yeah, I like that, especially if you haven't gotten a lot of the exotics. Like, you're like, I really need Tractor Cannon, and you never got it. Or I really need Skyburner's Annex, but you never got it. I really enjoy that. The one thing I don't enjoy, 3 of Coins are back. Slightly. 3 of Coins are a sort of a boost now, where you just pop it, and for 4 hours you get higher chances at exotic drops. Honestly, if they're going to give us this Fated Engram and going to have 3 of Coins, I know it's a way to get rid of some legendary shards, but why not just boost the rate of exotic drops anyways and not have us have these 3 of Coins? Yeah, and they're better than D1, because in D1 you had to pop them after every boss kill or Crucible match, or they were like these one-time things, and now this is a timed, like every 4 hours, like I said. But this is one of those things that if you just want us to get more exotics, just boost the exotic drop rate, or say, hey, even like every week, say, oh, this week if you play Crucible has like a 2 times exotic drop rate now, or if you play the raid chests have a chance at exotics this week or something. I think there are better ways, and this is playing into the, hey, play Destiny 2 however you like, but this is one of those mechanics that I don't want to, even though they simplified it, I still don't want to deal with it. But hey, I want to get the public event since we're here.
Sure. Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm fine with them introducing it. And I'm fine with them being in the game. I don't think they need to lower the overall drop rate. I mean, it's good. I think it's just they added something to make people happy. If they can,
well, and you get something to spend. You get something to spend your shards on too.
You get something to spend your shards on, and we get a little trinket that's nice and makes people happy. It doesn't cost them anything. I can entirely understand why they did it. Like,
No, I understand. I don't know. I was not big on them in Destiny 1, but oh well. Let me see. Let's go back up to the top. Oh, and by the way, it's worth mentioning that some of these things are going to be coming December 5th, which is when Curse of Osiris drops. Some of these things are going to be dropping December 12th, a week later, and some of these things are going to be dropping in January or even after. And so I will sort of mention if they're not dropping in December. But let me see. We have a January update to provide better incentives to complete Prestige Awards. So in January, running the Prestiges will be worth something.
I know everybody's first thought is going to be, unless it has raid perks, it's not going to be worth it. I'd almost guarantee that's going to be what everyone says.
Well, I mean, but this is going to be. I mean, this is also going to be about. Have we got the? Did we get the? Okay, this is also going to be for like Prestige Nightfall, so it could be like higher exotic chances or like I don't stuff like that too. Did we get the heroic event?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Um, yeah. Honestly, I haven't touched the Prestige raid at all, and the only reason is because there's nothing at all that is in there for it. There's no Vex Mythoclast equivalent. There's no extra, like you said, extra raid perks that you can only get. Like in what was it in Wrath of the Machine? You had to play in certain of them. You would only, I think it was the Vogue too, and a couple of the other ones. You could only get certain weapons on certain difficulties. So you had to play like the hard mode to be able to get like the hand cannon from Wrath. I'm probably talking to my butt with that one, but like the what was it? Hand cannon from Vault of Glass was only on hard mode. So they need to have that kind of thing where it's like either exclusive loot or loot that'll help you out. I don't know. This is something that could be cool.
Depends on what they come out with, honestly. I mean, I don't know if they'll do raid perks, but I mean, we can hope, right? So yeah, it's a change that I'm not going to worry too much about until like next week or in a couple of days or whenever that's supposed to drop. I'm not gonna worry about it until it happens. Yeah, it's it's something I'm just they're gonna be giving us a lot, and of course we all want more out of like the Prestige raid or Prestige Nightfall stuff, but it's honestly right now there's I think some other things they need to kind of figure out first. Like, I mean, can I not turn invisible on Callus checkpoints? I mean, seriously, Bungie.
Hopefully that's part of the patch notes, which they're gonna drop on us on hey, who has to leave and go to orbit this time? So yeah, there hopefully that'll be part of those patch notes, which will be here on Tuesday. Let me see. The next it says in December we'll be introducing a heroic strike playlist and more generous strike rewards. I think they essentially said you're just going to get more Vanguard tokens and more stuff at the end of strikes, which is good because these are honestly I love some of the D1 strikes, but these are some of the best strikes they've ever done, in my opinion, and a lot of players' opinions. These are some pretty awesome strikes, and grinding them like we are is fun. And I'm honestly doing it mostly so I can level my hunter up. But I don't play strikes unless we're doing a podcast. Excuse me.
Yeah, there's no reason to. There's no strike specific loot, so.
Well, though you can get more tokens, so maybe you're going for some Vanguard faction gear, but What is this Minotaur doing here? Whatever. Is he a loot person or just? Oh, maybe he was somebody's. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I guess that's all right. And then let me see. Rewards for adventures in lost sectors are still coming. So I don't know if that's specific rewards or they're just saying doing those things will be more rewarding, but they're not implemented now. Those will come later. So just more reasons to play all the content is good, even if that is just more tokens for the Vanguard. Let me see. Private matches are still. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like, hoping they do something with lost sectors because I find that really cool is when you find like hidden stuff. So like I kind of want more out of that. It'd be cool if there was like lost sector loot or something, you know, like a set of armor or maybe a weapon or something that's specific to lost sectors, say on Earth, and then lost sectors on Titan, Io, you know, whatever.
Well, what they need to do is make them truly lost. They're lost sectors. Why do they show up on the map?
Well, they did say they are going to take that out, so I mean.
Okay, good. I mean, you'll find them. They'll show up on the map when you find them, right? I don't know. I just make us find them. I know that someone's gonna find them in the first day and post a video, but I think it'd be neat if I could do that on my own.
Yeah. I mean that was kind of the whole fun of like going through the campaign was like, seeing that symbol and be like, well, that's cool. Like, what's there? And then trying to find it. I mean, even today, I found a lost sector I hadn't been to, and trying to figure out like where I had to go to find the entrance and all that fun stuff. That was pretty fun. But now it's just like, well, I can also go look at the map. But they're changing that, so I'm kind of excited for that. Also, by the way, I hate this strike. Why'd you pick this one?
Yeah. Okay, I do have to say, I just like so their strikes are nice. This one's a pain. Private Masses still targeting early 2018, and expect to have better insight into the exact timing in the new year. And then what else? They're still okay. So we're going to talk about this for a second. One thing I don't understand: did y'all listen to the Crucible Radio podcast where they talked to two of the guys from Bungie Development?
No, I haven't had a chance to listen to that.
Okay, well, one thing they said is they loved playing the game, but they sort of have this vision, and so the PvP guys will work on something, and then they'll go to like the weapon guys and say, hey, is this a good idea? Can this work? The weapon guys will say no because of this reason. And the weapon guys will go and say, hey, PvE guys, will this work for the raid? And the raid guys will say, yeah, that works perfectly for the raid. So they're like, all these different groups are sort of working together, going back and forth, checking, sort of make the final thing. Well, that makes fine and dandy, but why, and this is a complaint that the community has had, why is there this huge separation? Why, if they're all working, they should have. Why are private matches not already in the game? Why are they still being worked on? Why wasn't that a priority for the PvP team when the live team said, hey, there's private matches now, or maybe it was the PvP team in conjunction with the live team. I know everything's sort of segmented, and Destiny 2 sort of branched off from Destiny 1 right around the Taken King, and then a little bit more into Rise of Iron. But why is that not something that was more of a? I don't know. I'm glad they're coming. They're very, very nice. But why was that not something? Why are there these things from Destiny 1? Even though they talked about being segmented in their development, somebody should have taken a step back and say, hey guys, there's this stuff from Destiny 1 that we don't have. I know people have already railed on this, but
yeah, and there's another point in there where you're saying like the PvP team goes to the weapon team and with this cool idea and like, oh no, it won't work because of this or because of this thing in the PvE or in the raid. And it's just annoying that we can't have, like, they're so tied to having everything joined together that we're losing out on cool stuff that the developers think of because of the different parts of the game. Like, why can't you have a mechanic that's only active in the raid? Or why not have a mechanic that's only active in PvP? Like, just shut off a perk on a weapon in PvE if you think it's going to break the game.
Well, they had that in the past. They said, like, does extra damage to minions of the darkness or to fallen, or double kills on minions of the darkness do this or something like that. So they've had that in the past. And what they were talking about mostly was like different ideas. Like they had an idea originally for the Rat King that didn't quite work, where it made it a little bit overpowered. But the guy who made that gun like really worked on it until he found a version that worked with everything in the game. So, but yeah, your point is still very valid. We're losing out on some of the things because it has to work with everything. But
well, and the thing that also still stands is, I think you said the other day, CB, was like, why don't they just balance PvE and PvP separately? It's possible. Other games do it, in different measures.
Here's the reasons, and they've said it. It's not hard, not at all, but here's the reason, and they've said it explicitly. They want you to feel like yourself in both. And they've done it in the past where they've said, like, shotguns do 1,000 times more damage, or I think it was wound up being like 200 or 300 in PvE. But they want you to be able to take your same weapons and know exactly how they'll do in the Crucible. But I don't think it's so much of like handling or anything like that. I just think it may be damage numbers or different things. I'm not a developer, so I can't say that. But they want you to be able to take your loadout from PvE, and if you really enjoy it, take it in the Crucible and know exactly how it's going to play. Is it going to do a lot of damage? Or is it going to shoot fast? And so that's why they don't really have separate tuning, but they need to. And they did damage-wise on some weapons, like I said, shotguns, but
I feel that's unfounded, though, because, like, you can... So, like, a game that I play, it's a little different than that, but, like, I play League of Legends a lot, and they have separate game modes. They tune specific gear or specific items to different modes of the game. Now, and some of them you can't even, like, there's some of the items you can't even get in other game modes where you can get in one or the other. Like, there's no reason that it shouldn't. I mean, all the things, like they've reduced cooldown timers on some of them. Like, instead of the item when you activate it lasting 4 seconds, it lasts 3 seconds. Like, you can tune the game, even like the weapon you're using, you can change it just a little bit to not make it super overpowered for other modes. Like, it's possible, and they should be doing it. Like, there's no reason... Like, I don't want my shotgun to do the same amount of damage that it does in PvE that it does in PvP. Because, I'm sorry, but this guy that we're punching now has a huge percentage more health than your Guardian does. So, like, it's not going to work that way no matter how you look at it. So there's no reason why my shotgun should do the exact same thing as it does in PvE that it does in PvP. Like, they should be...
Well, I have a more extreme example. If they want bloom in the Crucible, that's fine. I think hand cannons in PvE need to be like 100% accurate and no bloom. Like, knock that range in PvE, knock that range stat excuse me, down to where you have to be closer. But I should be able to shoot PvE enemies all the way across the map. Now, people will argue that for PvP, but I should be able to shoot every single shot 100%, spam them in PvE. And then the PvP say, hey, bloom is enabled on hand cannons in PvP. Some of the people who don't know that, yeah, they'll be a little bit confused. But the people like us who are talking about it, the people that are going to play a ton of PvE and PvP, we will be able to know that. I mean, I looked at patch notes for Halo Reach. And I wasn't that... I mean, I played a ton of Halo Reach, but I wasn't that big into, like, following everything. But I still looked at all the patch notes. So it's not a stretch to say most players will look at patch notes.
Mm-hmm. If you don't, like, if you're going to be a player that actually is even, I would say, a little bit invested in the game. You know, you want to get the best gear, you want to, find out how to do stuff, that kind of thing. If you're that kind of player, not even if you're hardcore, just like a standard, hey, I'm going to put time into this game. I spent $60 or whatever on it. I'm going to put some time into this game. Most people are going to read the patch notes. Heck, I have a free-to-play game that I sit every week and read the patch notes. Because I want to know what's coming up, what's good, what needs to change. Is this character now better than this character because of a little change or what? Like, it would be no problem to have something like that. I think most people would read them or, at least be familiar with them.
Most people would be happy with them, but Bungie just they want as many things as possible to be absolutely the same. So you feel, I understand the philosophy behind that, but especially with this next statement, they're moving ranked PvP to the top of their priority list for next year to support the competitive community. So they're stating, hey, we hear ya. We want to do ranked PvP, but all your weapons behave the exact same way as they do. Maybe they'll have some additional tuning, but that seems, I don't know. And also, can we have ranked PvP on these hybrid peer-to-peer servers?
You can. The question is, should you?
I'm gonna play it. It depends. Do they replace competitive with ranked, or do they keep competitive? I think they need to keep competitive and have like 3 tiers. Because competitive ranked, what the difference will be is competitive. Competitive is the more hardcore modes, right? But competitive can still match you up with people of any skill, technically. They're going to, but Bungie, Bungie has stated, they've stated in the past, ideally they want you to have a 50-50 win-loss record. In their mind, you won't stomp people and get bored with it, but you also have a reason to get better. So you're winning about half of what you're playing is what they're thinking. And so they could, because of that system, you could potentially get ranked up with a slightly lower skill team or higher skill team. Ranked is going to put you together with people around your rank no matter what. So even if, for whatever reason, say this person has been playing with teammates and be getting some good team shots and have been, ranking up, but their skill might be lower than their teammates, you're still going to get ranked up with that person because of their number. Instead of trying to match you and find your best game or whatever, they're going to assign a number, and it doesn't matter your skill at that time. As long as your number is the same, they'll match you. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I understand the whole ELO system and just like the numbers behind it. It's just, I don't see why we have to have competitive, quick play, and then ranked. Like, competitive to me has always been ranked matchmaking, and then quick play is I want you to win 50-50, but then your ranked should be that thing. But
in ranked, well, the reason for 3 is the game modes, because we can't pick the game modes we want. Will Control ever be in ranked? And see, that's why there would be 3, is so you can play every game mode potentially in ranked, unless they specifically say ranked is now only these specific ones. That could be the reason. Because I really would love to play some ranked Control, but if it's only those hardcore game modes, then Control will never be in ranked.
Yeah, I honestly think that ranked is just them slightly tweaking the matchmaking settings and actually telling us our score that they already assign us. Because they obviously already rank us based on our ability, because they have skill-based matchmaking. So basically, they're assigning the numbers to how good our score is and telling it to us and calling it a rank.
Well, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how it's implemented and see if it's worth having that third. I'm gonna play it. I think it's gonna be cool. Um, but I'm still gonna play a lot of casual. Let me see. Uh, Crucible tuning like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules. And it says in December we'll introduce additional updates and bug fixes intended to improve these areas of the Crucible. So Crucible's gonna be improved, but we won't know until Tuesday. So, yay. I think this is has supremacy already been changed to getting kills adds to your score, or is that going to come in December?
I think that's coming in December.
Okay, so they're going to have some things like that, but we'll know specifically in December what we're getting. So I think we can move on and talk about the next thing. Let me see. It says a quitter penalty system is currently in development, and we can expect an update and deployment of that next year. So yay! I haven't had this happen a lot in. I haven't had this happen a lot in. What do you call that? It says Crucible matches. I haven't had a lot in Crucible matches. I hope they implement this in strikes, because I've had a lot in strikes where, especially like right now, I'm leveling up my hunter. I'll be like 3 levels below the guys, getting more kills than them, and they'll quit seemingly because I'm a lower level. Like we'll spawn in and they'll immediately we'll like shoot 2 guys. I'll die once, and as soon as I die, they're quitting the strike. I hope this
Sorry,
moves
I
over
have to
into PvE.
David died.
What'd you say?
Say, oh, I have to
Oh,
quit.
yeah.
David died.
Oh, it's funny, a joke. Yeah, I mean, it was stuff like that, like, oh, this person sucks, he automatically died. So I hope that goes over into PvE, but I'm glad that they're doing a PvP system. They'll tell us, it'll probably be like, you quit too many times very soon, you can't play PvP anymore for like an hour or so. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be nice, because, I mean, PvP is not great when people leave, especially with the 4v4 stuff. But, like, the biggest thing they need to do, too, is they also need to realize that as many people have said, as a solo player, which is how I spend most of my PvP time, I don't want to queue against a 4-man pre-made. That's not fun. Like, I would be okay with 2 sets of duos, but like a 4-man pre-made is just unbearable to play against if they're of any quality or skill.
Well, that's why I like to run 4-man, and even in casual play, I like to run 4-man.
Well, even then, like that should carry over to competitive. Or I don't even think you should be able to play ranked unless maybe you have a team, but that's a different story. Or they should have team ranked. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, I get tired of going against 4-man pre-mades or whatever. That's not fun. So.
Or conversely, well, and conversely, if I turn around and look and it's a team of 2 and 2 randoms and I have a 4-man team, I mean, I'll put goofy stuff on, which is fun sometimes just to play the goofy stuff. But you're like, oh, we're probably going to stomp this team, so do what you want to have. So yeah, it would be nice to sort of curtail that. We don't know the numbers though, and maybe they can't do that where you would have forever queue lines. I don't know. I think we have enough people playing PvP where the queue lines there wouldn't be too bad of a wait, but who knows? Well, especially only having 2 playlists. Let me see. Well, speaking of PvP, it says Iron Banner and Faction Rally will continue to have improvements, and as we go down, which they have a little bit more of those. What did they say? Faction armor and weapons will be unlocked for purchase for legendary shards and faction tokens. We already talked about that. Oh, we already talked about that a little bit. That's going to be for everything, but that's going to help out with Iron Banner and the faction rally as well. So we talked about that in extensively, but you'll be able to buy specific weapons for those. Did we skip something?
Um,
Yes, we
yeah,
did.
ornaments.
Armor ornaments. Yes. Adding armor ornaments that grant visual permutation of armor as well as complete specific challenges. So it says pretty much every set of armor is going to have ornaments. Where's that section? Vanguard, Crucible, Trials, Iron Banner, Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, New Monarchy, and Eater of Worlds Raid Lair armor will have ornaments. And the cool thing about these things, these are truly grind. Maybe not as much as you want, but they have a picture where it says, in order to get the ornament for this one, you need to win Iron Banner matches during Season 2 to earn that ornament. And it says it's then unlocked to the casque, the helm, and the hood. So the arms, the helmet, and the hood for the Iron Banner armor. But it says win 25 matches. So this is truly the grind that we were looking for. This is for cosmetics, but this is what we've been looking for. Challenges, stuff you have to do to get something. And when you get it, it says, hey, I've won 25 Iron Banner matches. Not I've played in, not I've completed, but I've won 25 Iron Banner matches this season, and I have this cool looking ornament. And so I'm glad that it's not just a random drop chance. I'm glad these are things we are actually going to have to grind for.
Because, you know, fashion is the way to go in this game.
Oh, it is. It is. But, I mean, it's something that's going to keep... This is going to be one of those things that's going to keep you playing. I mean, those people looking for a reason to play. Well, crap, I really want that... what do you call that? I'm talking about ornament. I really want that ornament, so I got to win 25 matches, or I got to do X, I got to do Y. And so I'm really excited that we're going to have something in there that doesn't really go for the casual. One thing while I'm talking about this, they mentioned Bungie in their podcast that came out right after this sort of state of the Destiny 2, said there are 3 types of players. There's the tourist who comes in, does the story, maybe does the raid, and then leaves. There's the moderate players that play maybe once or twice a week, that play, maybe 5-10 hours a week. And then there are the hardcore players that make Destiny their hobby, play it every single day. There's pretty much no other game for them. And they said that they developed this game, and we already knew this, but they developed this game for the moderate players who play about 5 to 10 hours per week, maybe once or twice a week. And this is something I think that is not going to pertain to those people. It's going to take them a lot longer to get these ornaments, and they're not going to get all of them because this specific ornament in this picture says this is a Season 2 ornament that you can only get from Season 2. And so if you don't win 25 Iron Banner matches in Season 2, you're not going to get this ornament. So those people that only play twice a week, 5 hours a week, they're going to barely be able to get this Season 2 ornament, if at all. And so I'm very happy that there's something that's not pertaining towards the middle ground of people. At least in my eyes, it's not pertaining to the middle ground of people, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, the 25 win isn't too hard to get, but it does take a substantial time investment. Because figure that's that's roughly 50 matches, and that takes...
Well, 8 minutes a match. 8 minutes a match, you're looking at...
12 out. Yeah.
80,
it's 400
that's 80 minutes.
So probably 10 hours if you include queuing and going to a tower and bathroom breaks and all that sort of thing.
And so if you're only playing 2 hours a week and you're not going to be playing PvP that entire time, so I mean that's something I definitely like in there. What did I miss? Let's keep going. Gunsmith will have some updates on how mods are acquired, and they're exploring more updates. Let me see. Gunsmith, what does it say? Eventually will have some updates. For players wanting to clear some mod inventory space, rare quality mods will dismantle into Gunsmith materials which have a chance to produce legendary quality mod components. For players chasing specific legendary mods, he will offer a selection of specific legendary mods suited for direct purchase that will rotate daily and cost legendary shards and mod components. So you're going to have a bunch of blue mods, dismantle them. They're either going to turn into gunsmith materials, which you can get legendary weapons, or legendary mod components. And then when he has that kinetic mod that you don't have, you just purchase a bunch of them.
I mean, I'm okay with that, because right now it's a pain in the butt to get a kinetic counterbalance mod, or the kinetic mod for your primary. Like, I've been trying for 2 weeks to finish off my other 2 better devils and a couple other weapons, and it's a pain in the butt. Like, it's even worse than just getting all the other... Like, I have legendary mods out the wazoo, but I don't have the kinetic...
That specific one you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get, because there's only one way to get it. And even then, it's a slight chance that you'll get one of them. So
It's
fully
the issue is there's only one kinetic mod, and it seems like the probability of getting one is the same as probability of getting all the others, but there's 50 others, so you have a 1 in 50 chance getting the one you actually need.
Well, and it's going to rotate daily, so we should have a better chance of getting it to show up, and then just buy all the ones you want. I like these 5 weapons. I'm going to buy 5 of these mods.
Yeah. Which I'm totally for. Like, I am going to save buku amounts of whatever I need to be able to buy kinetic mods the first time they're out. Because my luck with them is pretty pathetic, and that's like the only reason my Warlock is not 305 is because I can't find another mod for my better devils on it. So, like, that kind of irks me, but at the same time, like, you know, it makes me have to grind more, which is fine, but it's aggravating.
Yeah. That's just an open-ended grind. It's keep pulling the slot machine, and eventually you'll get something, rather than
the grind we
activity.
want is in Destiny 1, and they're bringing it back slowly, but we want to know exactly what we have to do to get an item, and they're bringing it with the ornaments, but they need to bring it for more. There needs to be more exotic quests. There are 4 exotic quests in the game, and those were grindy-ish. But we need more things that require you to do something, get something. So
I mean,
I'm liking that.
Fair, as long as we don't have an exotic sword quest to that magnitude, I'm good with whatever they have. I do not want to go through exotic swords again, or anything like that. There's a reason I only have 1 exotic sword.
Well, see, I wouldn't mind a quest like that if it was just for 1, or if there were 3 versions of it, because we have the maybe make it to where you can change the element on it or something. Don't make them separate weapons.
I would do it for once, but like to get those exotic swords from D1, you had to do it each time, and you're like, I'm not doing it 9 times. And
you found out that you could sort of cheese the beginning steps of it. And you were mad because you'd already done all the steps?
Yeah. I do not want to have to go through that pain again.
See, that kind of quest I would like, but like they're tailoring this game towards those middle tier people, and having to go in and get a certain amount of sword kills in PvP, and then go do something in PvE, and then this and that and that. I don't know if we're gonna ever see that again, but oh well. It might be interesting if they could have it.
I didn't hate this sword quest except for the materials. Like, most of the sword quests was fine. It was just the materials was a bit excessive. Because there's no way of doing that easily. It's just wander around and get it.
I think it'd be cool to have something that you could get that would require a large amount of effort. So that way, like, you actually can say, oh, I have this because I put in, 25 hours worth of work to get it or whatever it is, and maybe somebody who either A, doesn't play that much, maybe it's something they can work for. I think there should be some things that are kind of far out there to get, but at the same time, you don't want to make everything that way. You want to have a good range of stuff.
As much as I hated the must-have sleeper, must-have Gallahorn style posts from Destiny 1, Gallahorn was a little RNG. I do think there should be things that not everybody can get.
Or at least it should be hard to get. Yeah.
I think
but
I was listening to a podcast. And the Vex Mythoclast. You had to beat the hard mode raid, and then you had to get lucky. And so that means you had to play the hard mode raid more than once most of the time. And I'm okay with having stuff like that. I was listening to a guy, and he said, well, if you don't have that kind of stuff, you're ignoring the top level people, which is what they're doing. And honestly, I think there should be that kind of stuff in there where it's like, I'll never get that stuff. Like, the only reason I had any adept weapons from Trials is because I got pulled in I got lucky and won a Trials raffle from a streamer. If I didn't have that Trials raffle, I would not have gone to the Lighthouse. And that's honestly because of my skill. It's because I do not have the skill to do Trials, and maybe in D2 I haven't tried it. But, as much as I hated that I wasn't going to the Lighthouse, unless there was like a DDoS situation, it was my skill specifically that was preventing me from getting there. I think that's okay. And so,
there should be some things that are unobtainable for everybody, because like I said, you want something that you can say, I have this, you don't. I'm a little cooler than you, or it makes somebody want to do it. That's part of the reason why I play games like this, is because, I'm like, hey, that guy's got something I don't. I want to figure out how to get it. Or I want to grind for it, or whatever the reason is. So I think there should be some hard things, but not everything should be that way. Just, 3 or 4 items would be, fantastic just to have to grind for.
But introducing more things like that is just would be cool. They're introducing some, but ornaments, all right. We'll move on. Let me see they say they plan to tune some underperforming exotics and will continue to make targeted updates and improvements. And so just some of those underperforming exotics, if they're not very good, they're hoping to bring them up to snuff. But apparently people can do a lot with Fighting Lion in the Crucible. So I don't know how much they're going to improve some of them, so we'll have to see. We'll just have to wait till this patch notes come out to see. Because apparently Destiny Fun Police has found his D2 build where he uses Fighting Lion, and apparently Fighting Lion takes off a ton of health in PvP. So he'll shoot him with Fighting Lion, switch to another weapon, and essentially one-tap him very quickly. So,
Yeah, the issue with Fighting Lion is you need to get direct hit and it doesn't fire in a straight line.
Yeah, well, if you get used to it, but hopefully it does. But hopefully weapons like that will be brought up just a little bit, and it sounds like they're going to have some tuning for that. Also, in January, next year, they expect to add duplication protection for exotics. This Cabal's, I gotta screenshot that. Breakdancing. I can't. Anyways, we'll see it later. So duplication protection is going to allow us to get exotics faster, but I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I think that's something that's going to be good, especially now. This is definitely for one of those things for those mid-level people that I have no problem with, because I hate getting duplicate exotics.
Well, even for the advanced people, there's a there seems like there's a bug where you just keep getting the same couple exotics over and over.
I swear, it's anecdotal, but I swear the game gives you stuff you use. When I started using snipers in Crucible, and maybe this is just because I'm seeing them and it's not an actual association, it's a perceived association, but I swear when I started using snipers in Crucible, I started getting more snipers to drop for me. It's probably just anecdotal, but
I mean,
I
it's
think
possible
that's
they
in there.
have
It's
a
like
system
Jesus.
like that, but it sucks for exotics when there's only when you're trying just to complete
Yeah.
your set, and it's like,
Well,
oh,
and that's
you
where
want
that
another
Xur,
Darcy?
that's also where that Xur token is going to come in. No, I want a Darcy in general. Give me just Darcy. You know, even though that's a sniper rifle, and I've already had it. But it's nice. It's nice. Especially because they're bringing back some old exotics that you might want to get and try out in Destiny 2. Revamping some of them. It looks like there's a gun from the trailer that looks a lot like Red Death, but in hand cannon form. So, let me see. Emote interface improvements are still on the list, and that is essentially have multiple exotic emotes or more than one emote at a time. And then there are a couple of other things that are lower that we need to talk about. For Player Station, let me see. Master Rahul will have some of his legendary engrams for sale for legendary shards. So you can buy legendary engrams for legendary shards. So if you have a bunch, you don't have a specific legendary weapon. The only thing that I may have a concern about, legendary weapons can drop as masterworks. Can these Rahul weapons drop as masterworks?
Presumably, but the odds are likely very low, so it doesn't
Okay,
matter
I
all that.
really hope the odds are okay. Because you just I got a whole bunch of legendary marks. Let me get all my masterworks within 2 days. I don't know. Yeah, that's not really a concern. It's something I'm, you just make it off the top of your head. Let me see. Commander Zavala and Lord Shaxx will sell gift consumables for legendary swords that can be used during a Striker Crucible match that will serve the following functions: grant bonus to rewards to everyone in the activity upon completion, friend or foe alike, and they can award anything from faction tokens to a round of exotics. So I heard somebody put it best. They're gonna hate. They're gonna hate seeing that guy that teabagged them all match get an exotic for you popping that thing. But if only one person in the whole match has it, 8 people could potentially get exotics because one person had that sort of thing turned on. So I think that's pretty cool just to be able to say, hey, extra rewards for everybody.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to give rewards to everyone.
Holy crap, we are melting this guy.
They pulled out the cow strats
Um,
to take it down.
Oh man, Kalish Strats, what is that? Sweet Business, Active War Rig, and Rally Barricade.
Oh, curtain call, rally barricade, and a full set of rocket ammo, man.
Yeah.
I did almost
I need
his
to get me
entire middle health bar.
I need to get me a curtain call. I only have sins of the past. Anywho, exploit safeguards on chests and research nodes are greatly relaxed, and players should counter them less frequently. So I didn't know that was a thing. Apparently, that's a thing for resource nodes and chests, but okay, I guess people were farming those. But it does say drop rates for token is only reduced to 30% instead of 0, and Glimmer will be unaffected. So if you want to grind those, which I don't know why you would be grinding those, but maybe you are, you won't get them completely reduced down. And it says they want to associate a visual indicator when that will stop. So apparently the what do you call that? Apparently the XP wasn't the only thing they were throttling. Oh well. Let me see. Okay, changes affecting reputation tokens. Daily challenges will have reputation tokens increased. Kate's treasure chest will still offer rewards, but guarantee a minimum destination appropriate tokens. Strikes will drop a larger number of Vigor tokens, common quality destination tokens will have their drop rates increased to 100%, and values per token are increased as well. 50% for common quality tokens and 250% for rare quality tokens. And this was eye-opening to me because I didn't realize there were different tiers of tokens for each place, but apparently they are. But reputation required per reward engram will increase for factions by 37% and gunsmith by 50%. And Leviathan raid tokens will be redeemed at Benedict immediately upon obtaining a token instead of requiring a full clear. So you're going to get stuff faster, but they have increased the level up for Destination and Gunsmith. I think the Destinations take way too much, but maybe this will help balance out a little bit. I don't know. Do y'all have anything to say on this? I've got one thing to say. You need to complete the raid in order to see Benedict Arnold. You need to.
Technically, no. You only need to beat Callus.
I mean, no, but what I mean, you had to. I think you need to have a clear at least. Callus is fine. Callus is fine, but I think you need to beat him. Now, granted, you could probably just sit back and let your clan do all the work, which I think actually have a clan raid token I need to pick up, but or whatever. But it's just, I don't know. This is one of those things. Make things easier for everybody. They probably didn't need to do, but some people will be happy they can beat Callus. Oh well. And then they said they will have full patch notes at the beginning of the launch of Curse of Osiris. Now, one thing about the Curse of Osiris is they will have a maintenance time at the beginning of Curse of Osiris starting at roughly 5 a.m. Bungie time. And that's when you can start preloading Curse of Osiris onto you can start downloading it. When the weekly reset happens, which, by the way, is turning over to 10 a.m. Bungie time, that's when Curse of Osiris will drop. So there's going to be a little bit of time where you can't play at the end of the old week, but when it changes at 10 a.m., you'll be able to start playing Curse of Osiris. Which, honestly, I think we've talked about this a little bit. I think it's good because if something is broken, they'll be in their office and not at home sleeping.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect much.
It is going to suck because I won't be able to play a little bit of Curse of Osiris before I go to work that day. But it'll, I guess, make me sleep and make me happy that I'll be awake and then can come home and play instead of really hating that I woke up early.
Yeah. I guess they want to avoid people complaining like with Rise of Iron, where some people, myself included, stayed up overnight to try to play it right when it came out, and it didn't work to start.
Alright. Isn't Bungie Pacific Standard?
Yes, they are. They're Washington, I believe.
That means I won't get to play until after work, sad face. I'll have to wait 5 hours.
Yep. Which is all right. I'll take them. I'll take them seeing a break and being able to fix it quicker. But yeah, we won't be able to. Like I said, we won't be able to wake up and play it before we go to work any. So well, I'm not complaining too much. And a lot of the YouTubers are liking it because they don't have to stay up real late to do the Zer videos or anything. But when I become a big YouTuber, I'll be thankful for that. But until then, and I think that's about it. Let me
biggest change.
Go ahead.
Biggest change. The fact that vendors are only going to tell you when they have an Ingram for you. I hate turning in one token.
Yeah.
Biggest change. I don't care. biggest change. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't want Zavala to beckon me over and be like, "Hey, Guardian, come over here. I've got something for you. You have to turn in 5 tokens, and you don't get anything." Well, really, Zavala? Really? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that change the most. That's gonna be the
Well,
biggest thing.
that is a good quality of life change. Let me think. I'm honestly, for me personally, I'm looking forward to being able to buy the specific weapons and armor um, that I don't have. So I'm gonna. That's what I'm looking forward to. What about you, David? I guess since we're on this topic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. I hoard tokens, so it doesn't make a huge difference to me. They're still always going to say you have to turn something in. But
well, I mean, like,
maybe
the biggest thing is going to be the new tokens. Like, I don't want to go there and be like, "Oh, I have something cool already," and then they're like, "Oh, I only have 1 token. Cool, that's awesome." That would be the biggest thing. I mean, I have like 1,200, gunsmith tokens to turn in, so.
yeah, I tried turning them all in to get kinetic mods. Nope. 800 tokens, 0 mods.
Now I do. Which now you're gonna be able to buy specific mods. I do have a question though, because I've been in talk with people that are like, yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what they need to do. And I've been in talk with a couple people that have essentially given up on Destiny 2 until they give them a reason to come back to it, especially after the XP thing. And I have some people who are really on the fence and are really saying that this may not even be enough. But do you think these changes themselves are good and are potentially enough, or should be enough, to bring people back that had a lot of issues? Or is this a good first step? Or is this just a, hey, still need to do better? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, this is the minimum that they need to do. I think they'll do it. I think they... Yeah, I mean, I would have issues if they did less, so I take it as this is the minimum that they're required to do. I think they'll improve it more in the future. Probably the next expansion we'll see a huge set of quality of life fixes.
But I think for me personally, I think they need to have this level on the second DLC as well. If they have this level of changes on the first DLC and say, "Oh, we satisfied everyone's needs with that one, so now we have a small amount of changes." I think they need to continue to think and have this amount of changes for the second DLC, and then I think they can start getting on most of the community's good side. I think I said this last week. Maybe I didn't say this last week. I heard somebody say this, and so I'm going to say this on this one, so maybe we can have some people think about this. The Destiny community has never been one of positivity. And what I mean by this and what this person means by this is there's always something that people really, really complained about. In Destiny 1 Vanilla, people complained that exotics were way too hard to get, and that was way too hard to level up to max rank. When Crota came out, people were like, this raid is way too easy. There's a ton of bugs. Or maybe not way too easy, but it doesn't feel like VoG. It doesn't feel as epic. There are a ton of bugs out. What's happening? House of Wolves came out. There was no raid with House of Wolves, and they had the Summer of Thorn and Fellwinter shotgun. Taken King came out, and there was a lot of the things were gone from year one, and then slowly being introduced back, and then skill-based matchmaking happened, and they didn't tell anybody halfway through the year until like 3 months later. What was that? Rise of Iron came out, and there was just, so the community has never been one of like 100% positivity. I don't think they're going to have. I don't think any game is going to have like 100% positivity.
And I think it's because people love the game. Like they want it to be better. They want to play it more.
There is, but right now there seems to be more Bungie go kill yourself than Bungie, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you fixing this? We've had enough people yell and scream and say, Bungie, this stuff sucks. But but there's not enough. Here's what you should do to fix it, or why aren't you doing this? There's way too much. This game sucks. I'm not going to play it anymore. Everyone should not play it. Instead of this game sucks. Can you fix it? And so I think they need to be able to. They need to bring it back to that. And I think in order to do that, they need to have at least this amount of changes before. And this, honestly, that thought was towards me, towards people like me, because I'm like, why is our community so sucky right now? Why is it so negative? Well, our community has always been critical of the game, but I think there is a difference. I still think there's a difference between a negative community and a critical community.
Yeah. Well, and as with any game, I mean, you're not gonna be able to. I think some of the issues that Bungie had to start with the game, the no communication, no transparency, just random thought process and choices, I think were solved. Well, at least not maybe solved, but at least addressed in this, forum thing that they did, the patch notes, whatever it was. I think we're at least addressed, and I think if Bungie can make an active role to keep that going, I think the community will be like, hey, maybe and maybe they were trying some different stuff and the community didn't like it, whatever. But maybe they were just trying some things, and when we were like, hey, we don't like this, well, maybe they're like, well, maybe we should go and really look at this stuff and try and change it. And do stuff.
Here's what they said. Here's what they said. There's a reason they didn't have communication. And the reason they didn't have communication is because in their minds, there's only so many times you can say, we're listening, we're going to change things. And they didn't have things ready. Well, what they said they're going to try to do is give us more smaller updates. Like this they said, hey, here's a whole bunch of crap that you're going to be happy with, and we're ready to roll it out. Well, they don't have to say that. They can say, oh, well, we have this idea about this specific problem. This is how we think we're going to do this specific problem. And so give us some feedback on that. And then, oh, this other problem, how about this? And so they say they're going to try to do that more from now on, especially with the communication. Just give us communication, but smaller little doses. And so at least with communication, it should get better. So
yeah, and then, like I said, if that whole idea keeps on, we communicate better with the community and with Bungie themselves, and be like, hey, if they come out with a change, say, hey, we don't like this, if they fix it right away, or give us a good reason why it isn't to be fixed or needs to be that way, whatever. I think people are more apt to, at least say, hey, okay, this is okay or whatever, I think just the communication issue was not present.
Well, there needs honestly,
a lot of people were looking at.
Honestly, there needs to be a section under This Week at Bungie that is not written by one of the community guys. It's hey, this is a sandbox section. Even if it's literally, yeah, we hear you, we don't like, and they said they don't want to have too much of this, but even if it's literally like, yeah, we see that hand cannons are underperforming, or we see that this weapon's really strong. That's enough. That's enough to say, oh man, they have that data, they're hearing us, and so that way, honestly, the community can stop griping about, like if they had that in year one, which granted, this is a bad analogy because it took them forever to fix it. But in year one, they could have said, "Yeah, we hear you. Thorn's really strong. We're looking at it. We're thinking about reducing the damage Dot does." Okay, great. They're hearing it. They know that the community has an issue with it, and maybe we can talk about something else. Maybe we can move on to another section, even if it's just like, yeah, this wasn't giving out the correct amount of tokens. We fix it. I think that needs to be a TWAB section. And it's not going to be a TWAB section, but they said they're going to give us some more frequent updates, so that's always good.
Well, and like I was talking earlier about, I play League of Legends, and that game, like I said, there's a patch notes every, I think, 2 weeks is kind of when they do it. And that's a good enough time for things to come out, people to say, hey, this is overpowered, this is underpowered, can we get this, whatever. I think it's enough time to make changes to things and the games still work the way it's intended.
Well, see, and I don't even think they need to have changes every 2 weeks. They just need to talk to us.
Well, no, I'm not saying they have to do 2 weeks. Destiny is not a game that changes often, unlike League of Legends. They have new champs, new things come out, whatever. I'm just saying, every so often they just need to say, hey, we've been looking at the data. Hand cannons aren't doing so hot. We're going to make some changes to it. This is a bunch of other changes we're doing just because, either it's not working as intended or whatever the reason is. And just say, hey, this is what we're doing to change and make the game play a little bit better or work a little bit better. And I think that would be fine. Even if it's once every 3 months, I don't know, or 2 months, just as long as they're acknowledging that things aren't perfect and that they're doing things to make it better.
Well, I think it needs to be more than that because the game hasn't been out 3 months. The game's barely been out 3 months, and there's been this. You just threw out a number.
As
I
an
know.
Example, yeah, but yeah, they just need to be more communicative with if something's going wrong, and not just say hey, or not just say nothing. Honestly, they got to have some communication.
Well, they say they're going to do that more often, so that's good. I think honestly, this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully, it'll bring back some of those people that were upset by it, but we're still gonna have fun, and I'm excited to look forward to where Curse of Osiris is coming, because honestly, I've not seen a lot of stuff for it, and I'm just gonna jump in and have fun. Well, guys, we've been on here for a while, and we're about to hit the end of this boss. Are there any last minute things y'all would like to say?
The only thing I have is I started playing on PC, and was quite enjoying it. It was a bit of a shock going back to console and back to 30 frames per second and back to controller. PC it went very nice. Which I believe it's still on sale for the holidays. I think it's 30 or 40 for the base game for the holidays. So at least it was on Black Friday. So PC was nice.
My laptop can't even play it.
Well, so
I don't have enough RAM.
Yeah, they also have a trial now. So if you need to test the final build of the game after driver updates and all that, so they have a trial out for the PC version now.
Okay, so speaking of trial, I'm going to say some things that hopefully doesn't make you guys mad, may make some of our clan members mad. I understand a completionist need, but getting a trial version of the game on your account and running people through it so you can get that helper emblem when you're really not a trial player and really not an emblem player, I think that's a little overboard. I've done things like that in the past in Destiny. I can't say that I'm 100% clean. I've run in and out of a lost sector grinding for faction tokens before in Destiny 2. I think that's a little crazy. If y'all two have done it, I'm sorry if I offended you, but
that is a little excessive, I think.
We've had, and I say this, I'm saying this a little bit sarcastically because some of our clan members in the chat have done that. If you want to do that, that's your thing. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna do it, but have fun. Have fun if you would like to. Hold on.
To each their own, but still, that's a bit excessive.
All right, guys. Well, I think that'll do it for podcast number 26. And I will see y'all guys later.